Well, that was fun, wasn't it? How'd everybody's Sunday end up turning out? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about Fulham match. I am Sean. This is United versus everybody, and it's been a fun day, hasn't it? I'm not going to lie. This is going to be a little bit different of a news roundup. Not just going to go through a lot of transfer rumors and things. We got a few different sort of abstract kind of things to talk about. Obviously, you looked at the thumbnail. We're going to be talking about Bruno a bit today. We are going to talk about Mainoo as well because we've had some rumors coming out today on our young midfielder. But we are going to talk a little bit about Fulham and maybe a little bit about Grimsby because we do have our first EFL Cup match on Wednesday against Grimsby Town. So we're going to talk all about that. So get stuck in, you guys. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Check out the memberships to learn how you can get more involved in the channel content. And then, of course, go check out the UVE store. Tons of products just below your video player. If you scroll down a bit, you can see a lot of them. So moving on. So I don't want to alarm anyone, but the season is not off to a bright start. Like it's draining already. And not in the good way, like the good draining where it's been like an emotional roller coaster, like some of the Europa League matches. Not that kind of draining. Like this is the suck the joy out of everything kind of draining, like a Dementor kind of draining. Yes, I like Harry Potter. Get over it. Like Dementors. So after outplaying Arsenal and then losing that match to basically a fluke corner, because let's face it, it was a fluky corner, United put in a completely opposite end of the spectrum performance against Fulham, which ultimately ended in a 1-1 draw. I'm sure we all know. And on its face, right, a draw away from home isn't awful, but this is the sort of match Amorim really needed to put down a statement. He really needed to make a big statement with this. This was those kind of matches where we struggled last year, these physical, these dogged matches where this was supposed to be that match, the opportunity to really like show that nope, we turned a corner, we're not that team anymore. And it wasn't even the result that didn't show it was the performance. It was just a shit performance. Amorim needs to show he can win. He needs to get these players to find some consistency. He needs to really get this front three scoring because we can't have guys like Ekitike running around scoring for fun and Gyökeres bagging a couple over the weekend, and we still can't get our attackers that we spent a lot of time and a lot of money getting to look like they're going to score goals. It's getting frustrating. I'm not freaking out yet. Just laying out what Amorim needs to do here. So obviously Justin, Dylan, and I hung out yesterday. I had those guys come over. We hung out, pigged out, drank a lot of Guinness. It is what it is. We checked in with you guys a few times yesterday. We're going to spend a few moments today doing that as well. Let's see who's involved in the chat already. Who we got? Jomo, welcome back, Jomo. Already answering the question. The answer is yes. Bruno needs anger management therapy earlier. Well, my rate's pretty low. If Bruno ever wants to reach out, we can meet virtually. I can fly to Manchester. I mean, twist my arm. I'll fly to Manchester and meet with you, buddy. We can go chill in the dugout. We can chat for as long as you want, Bruno. I'm just saying. I'm here, my guy, and I got you. Danny B in the house. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. And he says Liverpool. Oh, did Liverpool? Yeah, it was 2-2 when I watched. I really hope they didn't come back to win in like the freaking stoppage time. That would be fucking frustrating. And they did. Son of a bitch. Not done yet. Danny's battery is low. All right, no problem. Take it easy. So Fulham. Let's talk about Fulham. 1-1. Obviously, it was probably more than we deserved on the day. And that doesn't even mean that Fulham were good. Like neither team was really great. If we're honest with you, I think Fulham kind of started to gain a little bit of footing, but we were on the ascendancy early on, so it was pretty just a mediocre match in terms of performances and stuff. It wasn't really the thing, but again, we couldn't have asked for more of an opposite contrasting performance than what we saw against Arsenal match week 1. Literally less than half the shots we saw against Arsenal, only 3 of those shots were on target. Less than half were from inside the box than we saw against Arsenal, and it didn't look like we prepared or like we scouted any sort of analysis on Fulham at all. I said in the match preview they were going to make themselves difficult to break down. And that's exactly what happened. Do I need to read those numbers again? The reason we didn't get as many shots and stuff because they were just thick, compact, difficult to break down, and it didn't look like we prepared for that. It just like we came out just hoping to do our own thing, and it was just miraculously going to work. It just wasn't. And unfortunately, it took just 2 matches for some of the usual suspects to revert to type when things got difficult. I'm talking about Shaw and I'm talking about Bruno. More on Bruno later. Started bright again, 10, 15 minutes, and then it's just like like we've seen for years. It's not an Amorim thing. This is a player thing. It's just the plan goes well for 10 minutes. We're doing really well. We're getting opportunities. And then it's like the players are like, wait a second, we should be scoring by now, right? Like we're doing what and they just stop. They just start like freaking out. It looks like they just assume, well, this is never going to work because it didn't work in 10 minutes. And then they just revert to type. They just make stupid mistakes. They're a little cautious. It's just ridiculous. Like Dylan and Justin had said during these check-ins yesterday, that missed pen from Bruno, like when we got it awarded, like we were super hyped, right? But then when he missed it, it really just took that low kind of deflated, defeated mentality to a new low. It was like a ripple effect in the rest of the players. But it's no excuse for continued wastefulness in front of goal. Let's see what everybody's got going on, man. Danny, thought your Danny's battery's low 1 second, but then when there's an opportunity to come in and criticize Bruno, it suddenly gets a fresh charge. Big up, man. Good to see you. Bandomac, welcome back. Slices of SIB. Evening broski. I like that one, broski. You guys ever do that thing with you and your friends where you just come up with different ways to include the word bro in your conversation? Super Saiyan Broku, Brokemon, all that kind of shit. Riders of Brohan. Oklahoma. I can keep going if you guys want me to. Dylan, big up, DJ. Good to see you again. He says, we play down to opponents way too much. Help me understand. What do you mean by that? Let me know what you mean. But big up, man. Get involved. Slices says, bro, anyone saying Amorim out are our enemies, period. They are not united at all. There are loads of people, Slices, who are calling for Amorim out. And this is how fans work sometimes. And I'm not trying to criticize anyone here. I'm just criticizing fans in general. When they don't get what they want right away, they spend the rest of the time just bashing. And every little mistake, any little thing that suits that narrative, they're going to be like, see? And they'll say this for years until finally the manager gets sacked. And then they'll be like, see, I told you. Like, you can't just say that for 2.5 years and pretend like you got it. That's like someone playing Texas Hold'em and they go all in blind and then miraculously like flop a straight flush on the river or something and then call themselves a good poker player. Like, nope, it just happened to coincide that's what happens. But it is what it is. Danny says Shaw's horrible in possession. Dalu is a liability. Yeah, Dalu's another one I'd put on that list as well for reverting to type. I think he it's just one of those matches where if it doesn't go right in the first 10 minutes, it's like we freak out and everybody just kind of lose out. Slices says, I am Mainoo out. If Mainoo personally wants to go, leave on his own terms, and it's time to go. I am done with Player FC. Interesting. We're going to talk a lot about Mainoo. We got a big show tonight. It's not going to be a straight up news roundup. We do have some transfer news to go over, but a lot of it is going to be very Bruno-centric and very Mainoo-centric, and then maybe a little bit Amorim-centric. So if you guys want to get involved in that chat, be prepared because that's what we're doing, man. Chat Sport, welcome back, dude. Like the defender subs to try to win the game. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with any of that. Personally, I just think Shaw was this is why I maybe would have started Heaven because I just think that he's just better in that regard. I don't know what the issue is with Shaw. Slices says Amorim is also pushing for removing the bomb squad. They were pushing for it. It's not as easy to sell players as it is to maybe buy players, even though we make buying players look fucking impossible. But when they're bad, when they're on big wages, and they have attitude issues, it's always going to be impossible, really, to get them out of here quickly. All right, Dylan's elucidating here on what he meant. I like to throw that word out there when I can. Says, we keep our energy up for matches against the bigger clubs most of the time. It's the tough mid-table clubs like Fulham and Brentford when we don't get immediately our plan to work. Oh, you're saying like almost a little bit what I was saying, but what you're saying is like it's almost like, oh, we're supposed to be better than these guys. Why aren't we better? And then they kind of freak out a little bit, maybe. Or maybe we walk in thinking the game's already won because but that's the point. These are the matches that we struggle with. These dogged, these scrappy sides that are mid-table, that are filled with players who are just fighters, and we just don't have that. Big up, Box. Good to see you. Box says, I think a lot of fans are scapegoating Bruno when it's clear the whole team have flaws. Yeah, the whole team does have its flaws. The whole team is not above reproach, and there's no one's got impunity here. No one's free from criticism or slack here because everybody's got issues. Now there's a lot of factors involved. We've got a lot of new players in here still, so that could be a big thing. A lot of players, some players are out of position and stuff. There's a lot going on, but again, this is why manage is also a verb. It's Amorim and his coaching staff's job to figure the solutions out to these problems. It's not just enough to simply say, well, we're just going to take some time, or we're going to suffer. Like, you have to figure out a way. It's like a doctor, like you come into a doctor and you with a broken leg and he heals it and he's like, well, it's going to suck for a bit. Like, bro, give me some medication. Like, tell me, like, is there PT that I can do or something to kind of work through this? Like, it's not just enough to be like, well, it is what it is. Sorry. Like, that's not an excuse. It's freaking annoying. When scouting young players, literally when scouting young players, scouts will watch them for several minutes after they make a mistake. It's not just look for the good things. It's okay. They misplaced a pass. They missed a sitter. They let in a simple shot, at their near post if it's a keeper. They watch them after those moments for several minutes to watch how they respond, to watch what their resilience levels is. Now, it's difficult with young players, but this is the point. United's players need to fix up. Like, they just need to. And Amorim's got to figure out solutions. Marco Silva was able to, once again, to just like some other managers do, just to pinpoint exactly what the issue. And it's the same issue we've discussed several times. He said, we knew how they defend. We know how they like to squeeze from the back five. And if you don't give bodies for them to squeeze from the back five, you can create superiority in the middle. We know they play with two in the middle. We tried to overload with our 3 plus Alex. It was as simple as that. And like Iwobi was saying similar things. Like, it's almost like there's not any other plan other than let's just try to pass it around, invite that press, and then try to play over the press. But when you don't press, like, the players don't look like they know what they're doing. And this is because a lot of them don't have a whole lot of football IQ. But again, the point remains, we're being outnumbered in midfield. It's 3 against 2 most days. And with the way Bruno has been playing to start this season, it's more like 3 against 1, if we're being honest. Who had a good game against Fulham? Who was poor? What did Amorim get wrong? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I might have brought on Shesko for Bruno maybe and move Mount back to a deeper role. I thought Mount was actually alert. He was lively. He was physical. He was getting stuck in. And if all Bruno's there for is just to utilize some passing range, I'd rather just play Mount in that role and just keep the ball and take better care of it. At least he'll be a little more alert and switched on in those deeper positions. It does not look like, I know it's going to sound like I'm hypocrisizing myself. I'm not, because I know that a lot of people have argued throughout the summer that Bruno can't play a 6. He can't play a 6. And I hear you, it's not his natural position. And my argument has been, when you look at the numbers, like, and even if you watch him last year when he's had to play there at times, he hasn't done poorly. Would it be my first choice? No, it wouldn't be my first choice. But these last couple weeks, and we're going to talk about this more, it just looks like he doesn't want to. It looks like he's just his mind and his heart's just not in it. He doesn't want to play that role. It looks like he's not enjoying himself. It looks like he doesn't want to be the guy who just gets the ball from the defense and then fine. He wants to be involved higher up the pitch, I think, and it's starting to kind of show a little bit. But I think that maybe I would have brought on Mount and I would have put Bruno on the bench. I just don't know if Amorim is ready to make those sorts of decisions. If you guys hear me here, let me see what we got here. I got to get caught up here. Box doesn't think the formation is right. I mean, we can agree, and at the same time, I can also. It's not that I don't think you're right, Box. It's just the formation thing, the system thing is just whether it's from pundits or fans, and I'm not trying to point you out here. It's one of those. It's like saying Ten Hag or Amorim out. It's just one of those conversations that I almost don't see a point in having because it's not going to matter. Like, I can say if we're going to stick with 3 at the back, I think a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-1-2 is a better option, and put Bruno in a more advanced role and let someone else come and kind of be that deeper role. I can say that, but it almost doesn't matter because Amorim is not going to change. So it's just like, and that's fine. He doesn't have to. It's his prerogative. But again, those are the kind of decisions that'll make or break a manager's career at a club. And Amorim knows that. And that's why I say he's got to figure it out because he's going to run out of time. But I think maybe dropping Mount deep is something to think about for Wednesday, for instance, or maybe maybe just swap Bruno for Mainoo on Wednesday. I mean, Mainoo, again, we're going to talk about this more, no minutes at all for the second match in a row. I'd like to see him start midweek against Grimsby. I think that's perfect match to get him some minutes. I'm the kind of person who's like, this is League 2 side Grimsby, just throw a whole different 11 on there. But on Mainoo, like, it's 2 matches in, and on the result, it's 2 matches in, and everyone's losing their minds. Social media is riddled with Amorim out nonsense. Are you guys worried? I put the poll out there. Are United fans right to be worried 2 matches in? 83% of you say yes. Now, that's surprising. What are you worried about 2 matches into the season? We were the better side against Arsenal, unlucky not to get the result. And we drew on the road at Fulham, which, again, on its face is not a bad result necessarily, but I think that the performance is what concerns me most of all. Are you worried about Cunha and Mbeumo just not quite yet looking like they're quite dialed in? Are you worried that we're still vulnerable at defending set pieces? That frustrates the hell out of me as well. The goalkeeper situation is more worrying to me than 2 matches into the season. Midfield needing a lot of help. We need a whole new midfield. Like, let's be honest. The whole midfield needs a complete overhaul because if we're going to persist with this system, literally none of the midfielders are ready for it, or they're not good enough for it. Like, they don't have what it takes to play, and whether that's ability on and off the ball, press resistance, passing range, physicality, whatever you want to call it, nobody that we have in midfield can 100% hang. And I would dare you to take any 2 of those players that we have in midfield and pick any combination to pivot and really feel 100% confident in it right now. I don't see that anywhere. But I refer again, like, Amorim needs to figure it out, and he's got to figure it out fast. I mean, he may be the right guy, he may be the wrong guy, but I don't necessarily know if we can know that less than a year of him and being in charge and just 1 summer preseason. So let's get caught up on the chat, you guys. Make sure you're liking the video, you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check those memberships as well. Bandomac says, it's just frustrating. Frank comes in at Spurs, and they put in good performances. Still waiting for the signs of a turnaround. Well, you got to remember, too, Bandomac, new manager bounce is a thing. We've seen this under so many managers. We saw it under freaking Postecoglou as well at Spurs. New manager bounce, and then it got figured out. This is a thing. Give it time. I mean, Nuno is already getting talked about getting sacked already. Like, new manager bounce is a thing. It's still the same Spurs players. Let's just relax for a hot second. I don't want to compare us to Spurs because they're Spurs at the end of the day. Slicer says, we should have won the Fulham game, which is true. Yeah, the pen probably should have put that away. I don't get frustrated too much about that kind of shit. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, I kicked my wall. You can ask Justin and Dylan. I definitely kicked my wall when that happened, but it's that's going to happen. Like, it's not the missed pen that necessarily frustrates me in that moment. It's Bruno's mentality up until that moment that did not lead me to any sort of confidence that he was going to bury that, because he didn't take it very well. He didn't look like he wanted to take it. I don't care about the referee situation. Bruno himself even said it's not an excuse. Bruno's mentality is a little off. We're going to talk more about that, though. Bexy, welcome. They have to get Europe with Amorim this season. No waiting around. He's been backed. Bruno is a quality player and loves United. Critics are being far too emotional. And yeah, I think it's reactionary most of the time. And again, if you're going to look at like what Spurs are doing in like 2 matches in under a new manager, I think that that's just an unfair comparison. So boxing's finishing is still the issue. Cunha missed with massive chances. If that was Højlund, he'd be slated. No, and I absolutely agree. And I think, I think that there are fans, though, who just, they don't know that, and it's like they don't understand that 2 things can be true. You can say Cunha should have buried those chances, but you can also say, like, that doesn't mean he's shit, and that doesn't mean he's a flop or something. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to worry too much about that, but he can take the criticism, and that's what the point. Slices says, Thomas Frank is actually destroying everyone right now. What a manager. Yeah, Thomas Frank was probably due for a step up. It's new manager bounce. Come back in a couple months and we'll see what's going on. Until then, though, hey, it's Spursy. That's what we're going to do. Samuel, welcome back. Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro should pack their bags to the Saudi League. Yeah. I mean, we know what we're getting with Cass, and typically we know what we get with Bruno. These 2 matches for the season have just been like so weird for Bruno for me. Slices says he's leaving for Al Hilal. Well, the rumor is Al Ittihad, so we'll see what happens. Andreas thinks Bruno should be dropped. Welcome back, Andreas. Box thinks the wingbacks were not great. Ahmad doesn't fit the right wingback role. Yeah, we don't have natural wingbacks. Dallo is more fullback than winger. Ahmad is more winger than fullback. Both of them, when Dallo gets into the final third, he's not great. When Ahmad's trying to defend in his own third, he's not great. If we had a physical wingback who can, it's oddly enough, and I've said this for many years, Daniel James would have been an excellent wingback. If you watched him play at Leeds, like the dude, he was like their player of the season last year. He gets up and down the pitch. He's not afraid to get stuck in. He's rapid. Like he would have been an excellent wing back. Not quite a world-class winger, definitely not a fullback, but as wing back, Daniel James would have been excellent for us personally, if he'd still be here. But again, this is why I always say it's not about club. It's not just like, oh, let's bring this player here. It's more about system that we're playing right now, the way the manager plays. Daniel James probably not quite good enough for that traditional winger role, but in a wingback role where maybe he's got a little bit more opportunity to just kind of do on and off the ball stuff, I think he would have been perfect. But what do I know? Jay, welcome back. So even again, the press was disjointed like always. You had the front two pressing, no one behind them offering any support, whatever. Yeah, it definitely was a little off sometimes. There were moments where Mount wasn't on the screen because he was dropping too far back to have to do stuff. And it's a weird system with Mount in the false nine. I said many times, like, it could be an option this season, but I don't like it. I think if Šeško's here, if Šeško's fit enough to play 30, just play him, just start him. I don't get that at all. Box says play two up top with a midfield three. Well, welcome to the 3-5-2 that I've been recommending for several months. I almost just don't bother mentioning it because it doesn't really matter. But a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-1-2, again, if we don't have the midfielders to suit the system, just play with a three-man midfield and just put another body in there at least for protection. It doesn't deviate too much. You're already basically doing that anyway with this false nine nonsense. Just play with like a 3-4-1-2 or something. And people can rotate. Like if you want to start, train and play well. If not, then go to another club or accept the fact that you're going to rotate. It's just going to happen. Dylan says Bruno wants to be the guy who sets things up and makes it tick. He's used to that, so he may be trying to come to terms with either his new position or possibly moving on. Yeah, we don't know. We're going to talk a lot about Bruno. We're just wrapping up Fulham here, but because I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm not trying to dismiss you, Dylan. I'm just not trying to get ahead of myself too much because a lot of what I would say in response, we're going to talk about shortly. But I wonder. All I'll say is I wonder where Bruno's head's at right now. That's all I'll say to start, but I hear it. Big up ITN. Bruno has been disrespected by the way he's been coached or not. He's not a 6 at elite level, but is it his fault? It's not. Yeah, it's not his fault. He's not a 6. Like, that's not Bruno's fault. He's not, like, that's just is what it is. Like, you can't do anything about that. Is it on Amorim for kind of forcing that? Bruno is the only one who can kind of be a playmaker, but is that the only quality that Amorim wants from him in that role? If that's the only thing Bruno is bringing to that deep role, then I worry a little bit about that. I've got another video planned. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not because it's not a video that I ever really planned on doing. I might give you a spoiler alert as we go on here, but if you guys can guess where I'm going with that, you can go ahead and try. Sammy says Dallo should join Atletico. Dude, Dallo needs to just go to Newcastle because Kieran Trippier ain't it, man. That guy is just old. Did Liverpool end up winning that? I know they came back to get like 3-2. It was 2-2. Of course. Fucking Scousers. Fucking hell. Jeez. Buck says it's only 2 matches. Onana was fit for both games, didn't play a minute. Maguire Xerxes hasn't got a start. Yeah, Mainoo hasn't got any minutes either. It's interesting stuff, man. Jay says we need a DM and a box-to-box midfielder. Casemiro needs to go. That way, I'd love to Casemiro to go, but he's not leaving. Unless a Saudi club comes in last second and gives us like 10 million for him, he's not going anywhere. And right now, he's going to leave for free in a year, and he's going to continue to collect like $300K a week until then. So that's our fault for doing that. It was a horrible deal all the way around. I like Casemiro, but what we paid for him, the contract we gave him, and the wages we gave him was just, you pick any one of those factors, and it was a bad transfer. But you put them all 3 together, it's a freaking perfect storm of just absolute stupidity when it comes to transfers. And that's nothing against Casemiro. It is what it is. But this is the kind of shit that puts us in the situation we are. Bexy is worried because United are still scared to be consistent. They have a mental issue with last season. Yeah, maybe you think last season is still getting to them. I would hope not, but it's hard. I mean, they're humans. They are going to feel things. I mean, despite what people think, just being paid a lot of money and get paid to play football every week is not just excuse you from being a human being and having, thoughts and emotions. And not only that, personal lives. You could have stuff going on in your personal life, and it affects you just the same like anyone else. Football is just a job like anything else. You know, everyone who struggles, it doesn't matter how much money you get. Samuel says Arteta starts Gyökeres. Yeah, I think Šeško should be starting. If Šeško doesn't start against Grimsby, like I'm gonna have some problems, and we're gonna have a little bit of a rant. You guys might see a different Sean on this channel if we don't see some of these players start on Wednesday, because this now it's getting into you're kind of just being a little too cautious and trying to just be a little too conservative, and you're not taking risks. And we are all about taking risks at United. I'm critical of Ten Hag for not rolling the dice on Alvaro because it was maybe too much of a risk to trust the youngsters. I'm going to be critical of Amorim all the same as well. Now, he's done well to give minutes to guys like Heaven, but that's not enough. He's got to do more. We bought a lot of players too. Dylan says, we definitely need a whole new midfield, dude. For real. I got to get caught up on here. Hold on. Buck says we can't score or finish, play the final ball. Something in the water. Literally something in the water. The canal is like 50 yards away. Maybe those rats that were in the kitchen brought a plague or something with them, and everybody's getting sick, man. Let me get caught up here. Andrea says the defensive end, especially the midfield, look really shaky. Hopefully a solid goalkeeper can help us. I think that, again, this is why a keeper would have been my pick going into the summer as a priority, because a solid keeper really just allows everyone else to breathe a little bit, because that ripple effect starts from the back. You've got a keeper who's confident and competent in making saves, coming off his line, commanding his area. That allows the defense a little bit more breathing room, which allows the midfield a little bit more breathing room, but just allows everybody to just breathe a little bit, man. Big up, Lyle. Welcome back, man. Good to see you again. I'm just getting caught up on the chat. Yeah, we rate Cunha, but for some reason, man, it's just the players come here and lose all their man. We've spoken about this like over and over again on the channel. Like, I don't think anybody can really pinpoint what the issue is at United, man. If it's pressure, if it's just the environment, the inconsistency, it can't be managers, because we've had so many managers. Like, I don't know what it is, dude. Oh, we got here. Box says, I saw two brightest spots were Euro and Mount. Yeah, Mount, I thought we should have just kept on and bench Bruno, put Mount to a deeper role, or maybe brought on Mainoo. But Šeško for Bruno, Mount deeper, and then maybe you could bring on Mainoo a little later if you need him to. Maybe put him in a 10 or something, or maybe push Mount up to the 10 and take off one of Cunha or Mbumo or something and do that. But Bruno definitely would have been the one I hooked for real. Let's see. Andrea says, to be fair, Wirtz for Liverpool has also been poor. I mean, yeah, just we can't talk about what Liverpool spent apparently because they won the league, so that justifies and excuses every transfer decision they make apparently. Even though Ekitike is scoring goals, it is what it is. But they still look shit at the back. Van Dijk and what the hell was Anthony Gordon? I don't know if you guys watched that. Anthony Gordon, man, like what an it, man. Box says get Sean in charge, Dylan as assistant. You don't want me coaching, that's for sure. Tactically, that's not really my thing. Maybe a little bit more than most, but definitely not as much as some of these guys like AJ and stuff like that. Tactically, no. But I appreciate the compliment. I really do. Dylan could totally rock his assistant, though. He's got that teacher mentality. He could do it. And he's going to have that notebook ready to go with all them notes. Dylan rocked up with a notebook yesterday, hoping to maybe do a little impromptu match reaction yesterday. I was just having fun chilling with those guys, so I wasn't really in the mood to do a video yesterday. Mainoo says Vitek got man of the match in championship. Did he do that? Yeah, we talked about that. He got man of the match the other couple weeks ago. Mad Hatter, welcome back. Forcing Bruno into the 6 role was the same thing that happened with Pogba. Yeah, I think that it's going to be hard because we haven't played a 4-3-3 at this club in years. Like, I think Ten Hag tried it like once against Southampton a couple of years back, and it wasn't like a thing. It's been 4-2-3-1 for the longest time, and it's never really suited the players we had to play a 4-2-3-1. Pogba shouldn't have been doing that role. Fellaini really shouldn't have been a deep 6. Fellaini was a 10 at Everton. Fellaini is the guy you want in that final third kind of area. And now with this 3-4-2-1 situation, again, it's just And Ineos knew this, and if they didn't know that, then that's a problem. But it's just interesting. It never really seems like we have the players for the manager that we have, whether it's the fitness level, the energy level, the pace, the tactical side of things, or in this case, just the fitness and the ability to contribute both on and off the ball, like composure, like whatever you want to call it. It just never feels like we've got players that suit. Maybe it's just that we just buy bad players. I don't know, man. I'm starting to get in my own head here a little bit. IGN says this Amorim doesn't change the back three at the back anymore. We're losing, which is idea to put Maguire in the hoof. It's not good enough. Yeah, I've been very critical of the whole let's bring on Maguire for 10 minutes and hoof it up top and let him get a header on it. I've been very, very critical of that because I don't like it. It gets the job done like once in the Europa League, and I don't think it shows any sort of creativity or tactical mindset whatsoever. But if is that all, man, if that's all Amorim can do, then that's a problem. Like that's a serious problem. I don't. Mainoo would have been perfect, I think, for a little bit of movement, a little bit of dynamism in that final third to really kind of open up how compact Fulham were. It wasn't going to be a match for just hoof and hope. It needed to be keep that ball on the ground, get a lot of movement, kind of like what we see from Arsenal at times when they work that ball in and around the edge of the box, and just confuse Fulham. Get them pushed and pulled everywhere. You needed Sesko in the box. You needed Mainoo in the box. You needed guys like that in and around the box. Move, move, move. Ahmad would have been perfect for that as well. Instead, we just put everybody in the box and we just hoof it and over again. And it just doesn't work out, man, because it just relies too much on a single piece of somebody getting on their head on the ball and that header being perfect. And when that doesn't happen, it all falls apart. And then sure enough, the ref blows a final whistle. It's really It's really not filling me with good confidence. So let me get caught up here. Casemiro's dive. Yeah, that was a bit sad. Oh boy. What are you guys saying in the poll right now? Are United fans right? 79% of you still say we're right to be worried. Interesting. Let me get caught up here. So Box is talking about Grimsby. So let's talk a little bit about Grimsby here for a second. Let me get Marco Silva off the pitch or the picture because he's just going to make me mad if I look at him anymore. I can't sit here and get outdone tactically by a guy who's literally been at like 8 clubs in the last 8 years, man. I can't handle it. Grimsby. So get your final thoughts in on Fulham because we're going to talk about Grimsby. And what I want to see from you guys, like Box is getting, and what would you like to see against Grimsby in this lineup? Because they're flying right now in League Two. 3 wins, 2 draws, no losses in their first 5 matches. They are second right now for goals per 90. They are first for expected goals, third for shots on target, first for big chances. And they are, when it comes to big chances created, they're nearly double the next club on that list. And they're first in the league right now for touches in the box. So they are just dominating their league right now when it comes to those metrics. They're also third for possession won in the final third. So I expect them to just be all over us from the get-go. I expect them to press high, aim to win the ball high, and then transition quickly to get numbers in the box. Exactly the kind of side that we struggle against. What would your 11 be for this match? I'm not going to go too much in-depth analysis because it's League Two Grimsby. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I just don't feel like there's much to do other than just we need to just play better. When it comes to an 11, would you just burn it down and just do a completely different 11 altogether? Surely Sesko should get the start, right? I'd like to see guys like Mainoo, Heaven, even Fredrickson, Maguire probably gets the nod because to give it a little bit of a rest. Zirkzee, I really want to see Zirkzee get in because he's been on the bench. I'd even start Diego Leon, honestly, and just let Dorgu get a little break because Dorgu's been running his socks off these last 2 weeks. I say that like he's been doing this 2 weeks, but let Diego Leon come in. Are there any academy players that you'd like to see get some minutes? You know, Kamasan, Montato, Kukanki, Fletcher, Ibrahimov. Let me know. Amorim will probably start strong because he might just, maybe it's a test for Amorim and say, listen, you guys have been shit in the bed. Show me something, or we're making wholesale changes at halftime, and that might influence my decision in our next league match. What are you guys saying? Box is going with Onana, Fredrickson, Maguire, Heaven, Dallo, Ugarte, Mainoo, Leon, Zirkzee, Mbumo, Sesko. Yeah, we need Sesko. I'd like to see Ahmad start too as well. Box says Mizraoui, and I don't even know if Mizraoui's anywhere near fit yet. So Bexy says Carrington is world class. Amorim needs to get it right. Very important to form some consistency. ITN says Amorim is losing a match all the time and brings on Ugarte. Yeah, I don't know what the point is with Ugarte, to be honest. I don't know what he offers other than just maybe trying to break up play, but then you're just gifting a free kick pretty much every time. Ugarte has really kind of regressed a bit as well, man. Box says Fellaini chest control was a sight to behold. Fellaini's chest control was a cheat code. I would trust that guy to catch a child with his chest if I dropped it out of a window. I would never do that. Please don't drop children out windows. It's not smart. Don't do that. If I have to tell you that, then we have a problem. Jay says, we haven't fully recruited for Amorim's system, so I'm not judging it just yet. We haven't, I mean, just because we haven't got a full 11 of Amorim players, to me, again, this comes back into that age-old debate, like, should a manager get more from the players he has, kind of a thing. And we're going to talk about it shortly. There seem to be so many more questions than answers and solutions when it comes to a lot of these conversations we're going to have today, whether that's Bruno, whether that's Mainoo, whether that's Amorim. It just seems like there's so many more questions and none of them can get answered. It's really annoying. Samuel says, hopefully Fletcher, Lacey, both Fletchers on the bench. I'd like to see some youngsters in there, man. Samuel says Maguire should go back to Sheffield. Dude, I wish we could shift maybe Shaw, Maguire, somebody, and maybe help out Crystal Palace, and maybe get Adam Wharton over the line. Matt Hatter does not want to lose Mainoo. I don't want to lose Mainoo either. We're going to talk about that because I've also got thoughts. Again, it's difficult with limited information, but all we can do is speculate and kind of give opinion based on different possibilities. But if some of these things that I worry are an issue, then my sympathy for Mainoo might be less than somebody else's. No, Box, Maguire is not a clinical header because he doesn't attack the ball. Even when we're getting the ball in the box and the attacking end, he doesn't attack the ball. It's constant back foot float. And it's fine. It got us through the Europa League final and everything, but he's got to go and attack that ball. He's on the back foot. When you're on the back foot, you get no power. And not only that, it shows that you just lack the assertiveness. And that's why he wasn't suited for the captaincy. Captaincy has nothing to do with how good you are, like with technical skill or whatever. Like Ronaldo is probably the most technical player. I don't want him as a captain. Captaincy is about mentality, and Maguire just doesn't have it. And he could be a good vice captain, but he's not a captain. Yeah, we're talking about that today a little bit, Box. ITN says, our manager has a massive ego and stubbornness, which he's not achieved the level to do it. Most managers and most players do have ego. Most managers and most players are stubborn. They think that, every manager thinks that the way they play is the best way to play football. It's the way they want to play. It's the way they think is going to get the best results and put themselves in the best position to get them. Every manager does that. There's no, I don't know if I don't know if you can get to that point. Like if you can only say, I have to win the Champions League to be able to think like that. Like you've got to stay consistent in order to get winning and stuff. It just is what it is. So I hear you. At the same time, I think that you have to, as a manager, you can't flip flop. You can't go back and forth because then you just kind of hurt yourself in the long run, if that makes sense. Matt thinks we'll go to Pens. If we go to Pens, we're out. Oh, we're till out. Box says, bit worried how you've read them out. Grimsby stats. I've just thrown the stats out there, you guys. That's just what it is, dude. He says Ugarte regressed. Yeah, it's a little rough. I wish Lamens was in by now. I almost put him in my starting 11. I was hoping we'd have it over the line yesterday. I hope it would have been announced, but alas, not happened yet. Really, really annoyed. ITN says Spurs sacked Ange after Europa win. Come on, stop the safe thoughts. I have safe thoughts. You guys know if you watch the channel, I don't really see the point in Amorim in, Amorim out, Ten Hag in, Ten Hag. I just don't see the point in it because it just, what we say doesn't matter. And if it does, it just doesn't matter. Like the manager will make decisions and they'll get sacked or they'll do well. It is what it is. So like a player, you can criticize, you can expect more, you can want them to improve, you can want them to learn, you can want them to win matches, and that's what we need to do as fans, is support. We don't have to agree with everything, we can criticize things, but the writing will be on the wall whether we say in or out or not. It's just the way it goes. And so it's just one of those conversations that I personally just never saw the point in having. Doesn't mean you guys can't chat about it, but I just never saw the point. So again, it's like Amorim should play a 4-2-3-1. Like there's no point in me saying that because he's never going to do it. So it is what it is. So hope you guys are hitting that like button for me. Please subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 3K. We're going to get into the nitty gritty now, you guys. So strap yourselves in, put on your funderwear, because we're going to talk a little bit about Bruno. Because yes, on this channel, we do talk about Bruno. So I'm going to get pelters here with my take on the situation. And it is what it is. It's fine. It is my opinion. It is what it is. Bruno is not a bad player, right? I got a dog here on my face again. Bruno's not a bad player. He's not a bad captain. He's definitely not anywhere near the list of players that I would want sold. But he's definitely not himself these last two matches. He's definitely not the Bruno that we know. And yes, you can criticize his erratic behavior. You can criticize not being suited to a deeper role. I hear that, but even if you take that like criticism, and even if it's legitimate, even compared to that, the way he's played against Arsenal and the way he played yesterday against Fulham are below even that. Like it's just not good. Like I don't think his struggles these last two matches are down to him not being suited to the system, not being a good captain, or not being a six. I don't think that has anything to do with it. Because like I said earlier, he's shown that he can play there and he can do well. Is it ideal? No, I wouldn't start him there. If I had my choice, it just wouldn't be that way. But if it's an issue, then that's an Amorim thing, not a Bruno thing. We can't blame Bruno for not being a six. That would be an Amorim issue, right? But against Arsenal, against Fulham, he's just looked off it. Switched off, especially for Emile Smith-Rowe's goal yesterday. Like, I don't know what he was doing. He's just watching his keeper, not even alert to the danger. Smith-Rowe basically just waltzed right past him. Again, switched off. That has nothing to do with Bruno like not being suited to his six. It was a ball in the box. Everybody was back in that role. It's just what it is. He just is switched off, and he did the same kind of thing against Arsenal. Make a very sloppy pass to Euro, I think it was. It led to a corner, which led to us conceding a goal. Switched off. Something's off. I don't know what was going on with the pen. It is what it is. Legend has it. It's still up in the air someplace. I'm not sure. Hopefully it hits somebody in Liverpool, and that would be the best thing ever. In and of itself, I'm not worried about the pen. It happens, like I said. What I'm worrying about is the pen being another bad moment among a string of bad moments in just these first two matches alone. Like, that's not the Bruno that we're used to seeing. So for conversation's sake, if we're operating under the parameter that maybe something's going on in Bruno's head, what do you think it is? I put out that short asking for your thoughts yesterday on that rumor that Al Ittihad had submitted a huge bid for him, and reportedly the club was just letting it up to Bruno. I don't know if that's legitimate or not. If the bid is legitimate, has Bruno had his head turned? He didn't look particularly happy yesterday playing in a deeper role. Maybe he's just frustrated. Is he frustrated with himself? Is he frustrated with having to play there? Is that a factor? If his head's not in it, though, again, this is where maybe it's an Amorim thing. If Bruno's head's not in it, and then by the same standards that Amorim put down for Rashford, Garnacho when it comes to focused and being 100% committed, by that standard, he should be dropped, right? If his mind's not in it, right? Or will he not get dropped because he's captain, or maybe because Amorim thinks he's our best player? Then you have another question. If somebody's had a bad spell of form, do you play him through the bad run of form, or do you bench them for a hot second? Like, so many questions. Like I said, so many more questions than answers. Bruno has always been a bit of a mercurial player among the fan base, even when he signed. But I think that what started in the last couple of years as a bit of rumbling has swiftly already this season turned into a rallying cry for him to leave. Really, it started when that first Al Hilal situation came up. Everybody wanted him to leave. Maybe that's got to him. Maybe the fact that you look around and all your supporters want you to leave because they want the money, because they think we'll be better without you, that has to hurt a bit. I would be a little hurt by that if I were Bruno, right? Wouldn't you guys feel a little hurt by that? And I worry that things could get out of hand if he stays. Let's see what you guys are saying here. I'm gonna get caught up here. Matt Hatter says, I'm willing to give Amorim to the end of the season to form a real opinion. My only gripe is that he's too stubborn. Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about Amorim when it comes to Mainoo, because there is a line there between stubborn and sticking to principles, backing yourself, having confidence and belief in yourself. You have to be able to. There's a fine line between believing in this system and stuff and sticking to it and being too stubborn, because I think backing yourself and conveying and getting and motivating others to buy into it is good leadership, whereas being stubborn with stuff doesn't seem to be working when it's legitimately the system and not just player attitude that's involved, because a player cannot be 100% in it and that can kill the whole system. So that's not really a fair one too, but there's a fine line there. But so I hear you there, Mad Hatter. ITN says Bruno is a great player and he's done so much. I agree, he is a great player. Again, it's not as simple as a lot of fans are making it out to be right now, because again, I think there's a flaw with people sometimes that they can't understand that two things can be true. I can be just as happy with Bruno staying and performing well, even in this role that he's not necessarily natural at. But I could also be very happy to get 100 million for him and put that towards maybe two new midfielders. I would take either. Both of them are just as fine for me. It doesn't really matter to me. Bexy says, will Amorim start to do a Ten Hag suit, basically start saying we're getting better? I mean, I think we can say against Arsenal we were better. I don't think it's a complete bullshit to say that we weren't better against Arsenal, but it also isn't bullshit to say that we were almost completely opposite against Fulham yesterday. It just was night and day difference. ITN wants to know why we're focusing on a player. I don't have an answer for Amorim in or out. I've told you I'm never going to have an answer to that, man. I just don't do that. I didn't do it with Ten Hag. I didn't do it with Ollie. Not going to do it now. Just is what it is. It's just something that I don't get into. So it's like combined 11s. I just don't see the point of a combined 11. I don't get into it. It is what it is. I don't really do player ratings either, because I just don't see the point. But again, if I'm boring, I'm boring. It just is what it is. It seems like you let me know what you think, man, because it's just, you can keep trying. It's not going to happen. So Chat Sports says Bruno is still United's best midfielder. Put a 3 in midfield and ditch this wingback system. Again, I agree that playing a 2-man midfield with a bunch of midfielders who just aren't good for it is an issue, but it's not going to change. Amorim is not going to change. This is the system that he's played for his whole career. He's not going to change it. So the only way that it'll work is to get midfielders that are suited to it, because I don't think you're just going to suddenly make Casemiro quicker or Bruno more physical. Mainoo, you can't put Mainoo in a hyperbolic time chamber and age him 5 years and make him just prime midfielder. Ugarte is not just going to suddenly overnight become an excellent ball progressor as well as just a mentality monster in midfield. It's not going to happen. And that's the problem. We've got 4 midfielders who just aren't going to do it. Oddly enough, one of the probably the better midfielder to fit that role is Mount, but I don't think anyone's going to be ousting Bruno at the moment for some reason. I don't have a problem with Bruno being benched or subbed off. I don't have a problem with it. I think it sends a good message, but at the same time, like, will Amorim do that? You guys let me know. Box says the time it took for Bruno to make the Saudi decision shows his head is probably frazzled. There's a lot going on. I think people forget sometimes that players are human beings. Like, I'll never understand the people who are like, well, they get paid like hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. They shouldn't do, like, it doesn't excuse you from having a mind and a heart and emotions and a personal matter. Like, when you step on the pitch, be professional. If your mind's not in it, go on, you can sit on the bench. I don't have a problem with that, but like, they feel things. They're not robots. So yeah, Box. I never understood why fans were like this with Bruno. Like, I think if we didn't have Pogba here when Bruno got here, I think it would be completely different, because I think a lot of it was Pogba FC feeling a little threatened. But it is what it is, dude. Rob, welcome back. Says he's in the wrong position and on the slide. Interesting. Samuel says Sergio Romero was better than Andre Onana. Yeah, Sergio Romero was an absolute. He was probably the best number 2 we've ever, like, one of the best number 2s you've probably ever seen. So when Dylan was here mid-season, there was international break. We went through, what did we do? We ranked our post Sir Alex managers that we've had. We ranked those, and then we picked our best, I think it was our best 5 each post Ferguson signings, and Sergio Romero was one of mine, mostly because he was free, but also he was an excellent backup keeper who pretty much started for us in those cup competitions. But those are fun streams. You guys can go back and watch those if you want. I had a lot of fun doing those. Bexy says United fans are generally emotional, a bit like society. True. better to think about everything logically, look at both positives and negatives. Your looks awesome. Yeah, it is. I mean, you're allowed to have emotions. They're emotion and logic, they're two sides of the same coin. You got to have both, but it's about finding the balance. Now, most decisions have a degree of both, a percentage. I like to think of them as two sides of a sliding scale, right? So the decisions that we make, sometimes you can have a perfectly balanced, sometimes it's more logic, more emotion. Like, example I'll give clients a lot is like dog. Decision to buy a dog, typically more emotion than logic, right? No, there's no logical reason to get a dog unless you literally need an assistant dog. There's no logical reason to get one. They're draining, they're stressful, they're messy, they're loud. You have to train them and shit. Like, they're expensive too. I just had surgery on my dog. She tore her ACL. Let me tell you, $5,000 out the door, right there, right? No logical reason. That's all emotional. Now, where you get logical, hopefully, if you're a good dog owner, is what kind of breed you want to get that suits your lifestyle, suits your energy levels, suits your current circumstances. That's a more logical. So you can have both in the same decision. That went off on a weird tangent, but I totally hear you, man. ITN thinks I'm a coward. Oh no. So because I didn't give you an answer, Amorim in or Amorim out, which is not an answer I've ever had. Never has that thought ever entered my mind with any manager. You're out the door. Cool, bro. Thanks. Oh man. Samuel says, Dylan, and would you be fantastic on football? Focus on match of the day. I have done watch-alongs. I just typically, as you saw, I'm watching matches with people, and so I don't really have time for that. So, Box says, does your dog have better knees than Licha? Well, honestly, out to God, the ACL thing happened like 6 years ago, but it was a small little tear at the time. And ACLs don't really get better on their own. We did a lot to try to minimize her extraneous activity so she wouldn't hurt it worse. And then it just fully went like 2 months ago, just randomly in the backyard. She just did a little spin move and just boom, she got it. She's fine. She's downstairs. She's in her crate. She's good to go. So she's healing. She's walking now. She's still limping, but she'll get better. In another month, she'll probably be back to normal. But yeah, the other dog, who weighs about 20 pounds more, just T-boned her in the yard running full speed, and just that was it. But ITN, dude, man, you gotta. I hope that you're a little bit more patient and kind of empathetic with people. Just because I don't have an answer for your question, I hope that's not enough for you just to leave. But if it is, hey, you do what you got to do, man. But it's not anything personal. It's just literal. It's not anything to do with Amorim. It's just I just don't have that. I just don't see the point to that kind of conversation. And that's just how I am. Like, I don't see the point in like circular arguments with people. Like, even if I get into an argument with my wife and we end up just kind of saying the same things over and over again, I just kind of stop. I'm like, you know what, this isn't going anywhere. I just don't see the point sometimes to having discussions that don't really go anywhere. And like, I'm never an Amorim in or Amorim out. I'm never Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out. It is what it is. If you got a problem with it, I mean, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But Tails7, welcome to the channel, says, I'm Amorim out. He almost got us relegated with his 3-4-3 obsession, and he continues to weaken the team with his fascinating his weird ass formation. It's so interesting though, because this is the formation that, like, Ineos knew that's what he played. Ineos knew he wasn't going to change. And not only did they go get Amorim, they paid extra to sack Ten Hag, to get Amorim and his coaches in. And they paid extra to do that mid-season, knowing full well they weren't going to have money to spend on any of these players that he wanted. They were going to be struggling. Like, if Ineos didn't have any sort of people in-house, they were able to kind of analyze that decision ahead of time and say, this is going to be a struggle. We don't have players that suit the system. Then that's an Ineos problem too. Again, it's like getting mad at Bruno for not being a 6. We can't get mad at Amorim for playing a 3-4-2-1. We get mad at Ineos for appointing a manager who maybe we didn't have the tools to do it, and it was going to take a while. So it's weird. We need to shift the focus a little bit sometimes, but maybe it's a combination of all of it. I don't know. Again, asking Amorim to change systems is just not, again, it's kind of like the Amorim in or out. It's just not point in arguing, because it's not going to happen. He's not going to change the system. And if he does, then again, it doesn't make any sense, because everybody gave Ten Hag pelters for changing his system and abandoning his principles, right? The phrase of the year. But now everyone wants Amorim to do that. Like, we can't have it both ways just because it's not going the way we want it to go. We have to either be willing to like be patient, or just like let the manager basically sack himself or get himself like trophies. That's all we can do. It doesn't make a point here. Um, Tail says Amorim is managing us like he's a bot set at low intelligence setting. Yikes. Yikes. I mean, we did get to a Europa League final. We did knock Arsenal out of the FA Cup. We did beat City. We got some decent results against Liverpool under him as well. I mean, he did really well at Sporting. Maybe he's in over his head. Maybe it is what, I don't know. We're going to talk a little bit more about Amorim here in a second. So Rob says these things take time. He's had to clear out players who don't go, and then he needs new players in to play the system. It does take time. I don't think that in this modern age, managers are going to get the time that maybe they should get, because it's not even 10, 20, surely not 20, 30 years ago. You have to show that the backing is warranted. I'm not just talking about bringing players in. Like, the club backed Amorim when it came to Rashford, Garnacho, and stuff. Like, they backed him. And that shows that he's got to return that favor. He's got to reward that faith. Otherwise, I just don't know what's going to happen there. Bexy says, do you think United will get a midfielder? I hope so. I really do hope so. We need basically a whole new midfield almost when you really look at what this system requires from midfielders, and you look at the players we have. Mainoo is not quite there yet, and who knows if he ever will be. Casemiro's too slow. Ugarte just doesn't quite have the full, complete, like, all the strings to your bow you're going to want. And Bruno's not a 6. And it's just, I mean, we've said that a couple times now. I hope we need a new midfielder. So Condé Nast 23 says, watch football with your eyes. His win percentage is 20. I mean, you say you watch it with your eyes and then you give us statistics. So I'm not sure they conflict. Yeah, his win percentage is shit. Like, there's no denying that. It's absolute shit. The guy's like he's lost more matches or he's got like less points than matches he's managed, right? Was the stat people put out yesterday. You know that they were waiting to put that out, everybody. So it's shit. It absolutely is shit. Rob says Ralph Ragnick knew what we needed, but the Glazers kicked him out. If you guys want to know a little bit more about what might have been under Ralph Ragnick had he not made his open heart surgery comment and gotten sacked, go check out season 3 premiere of What If. It dropped a couple days ago, where we explored an alternate timeline where Ralph Ragnick never got sacked. Go check that out if you haven't yet. I don't know if you did it on purpose, Rob, and gave me a segue to promote that, but big up. Rob says, agree, Sean. Some of Amorim's in-game decisions. Yeah, for me, with Amorim, it's not about system necessarily for me. It's about his team selection at times and then these substitutions. That, to me, has been the biggest issue. I think perhaps the most criticized thing about Amorim's management that I've done on the channel, and not saying that makes me right, I'm just saying the thing that I tend to see as being an issue, it's not system or anything. It's why you pick this starting 11. Why do you make these subs? Like, some of it just does not make sense. I didn't get a lot of decisions, like bringing on Garnacho with no time against Spurs when they were already up 1. They were sitting deep. There was no room for him to really do what he does best, which is run in behind. It was just a baffling decision. Now, say what you want about Garnacho, but that game needed him to start the match when Spurs are playing a high line, they're exposed, and you're going to have space. It just doesn't make sense to me. And so that kind of stuff I can criticize for sure. And we can criticize and hope a manager does better, and without also saying, hey, you got that decision wrong. That means you're not good enough. You need to get sacked. Like, again, people seem to take things to the extreme sometimes. And it is what it is. Human beings are like that. I see it all the time. Like, you guys have been following the channel. I'm a mental health professional during the day, so this is just my fun little side hobby. So I see just the decisions that people make, the way we react to things, the emotional stuff. I see it on a regular basis, and I have for the better part of a decade. Trust me, there's not much that people are going to do that I haven't worked with already, and that's going to surprise me, even from a footballing standpoint. So, but it is what it is, man. You guys get your thoughts in on Bruno as we go along. Get your thoughts in on Amorim, because we're going to talk a little bit about these Mainoo rumors that came out today. So make sure you like and make sure you subscribe, you guys. ITN, if you're still here, keep getting involved, man. Sorry, I'm not going to be Mainoo in or out either. So if that's going to bother you, then just check out now, bud. So the whole premise of this is Graham Bailey made a pretty serious claim regarding Kobbie Mainoo. I think it was Alex Crook, too, who I don't really get involved with that much. But Graham Bailey So Mainoo, no minutes for the second match in a row to start the season. It's got to be frustrating from Cobby's perspective, right? To sit here and watch Bruno have a shocking start to the season, watch Ugarte come on and take pot shots like he did against Arsenal, and really just make stupid decisions in general. Casemiro struggle to get around the pitch. Like, it's got to be frustrating to watch that, right? Um, Now, that being said, I do think people maybe need to chill out a little bit about this whole Copy Mainoo situation. I don't think it's as serious as people are making it out to be. Um, this is what Graham Bailey had to say today. He said, I understand that Kobbie Mainoo was ready to leave Manchester United on loan this month, and a host of clubs are looking to land him. We understand that Mainoo, who has yet to receive a contract offer promised to him since last year, wants to be playing. Yeah, I'm sure he wants to be playing. I don't necessarily think it has anything to do with the contract. I don't think he's demanding as high as his wages as Chris Wheeler is reporting. I just don't think that's a legit thing. Now, this continues. It is believed United would be open to a permanent deal, whilst Mainoo would consider a loan. He still believes he could have a future at Old Trafford. He has 2 years left on his current deal, which makes him one of the lowest paid members of the squad, and a loan could be an option. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Because Romano has also come out this afternoon and basically said he hasn't heard that Mainoo wants to leave. I don't think Mainoo wants to leave. I think Mainoo wants to play and stay at Manchester United, but I think he wants to play. And again, if you're watching Bruno stink out the joint, you're watching Casemiro struggle, like, and you're sitting here on the bench, like, what did I do? Like, you saw the expression on his face. You can see it right there on the screen. He doesn't look happy. He looks exactly like Ahmad looked under Ten Hag. You guys remember those famous photos? We put him on a couple thumbnails back then. And I get it. He's young. He wants to play. He's in the modern age of football where youngsters are popping up all over the place and playing. Mbappe, Haaland, João Neves, Saka, and Nwaneri, all these, they're getting minutes. Everybody's getting minutes at a young age except for Mainoo. I get it. It's probably a little embarrassing. He's probably a little frustrated, as teenagers and 20-year-olds are going to get. It's part of it. All things being equal, right? I wouldn't have a problem necessarily with Mainoo not starting every match. I've said this for a while. He's not quite there enough for me to think he's in the starting 11 week in, week out. He's young. He's still developing. He's only been playing first team football for like a year and a half, and he was injured for even a big chunk of that. But honestly, no player should get upset enough and want to leave just because they're not playing the first two matches of the season, especially a young player like Mainoo. But again, that's why I said all things being equal. If Bruno was flying, if Ugarte was making those tackles perfectly, if Casemiro was popping up on set pieces and getting those goals like he was last year, if all that was happening, I wouldn't care. But when Ugarte and Bruno have been stinking up the joint and Casemiro is not cutting it, and we need a little bit of press resistance, a little bit of composure, a little bit of smart play on the ball, building out from the back, what reason could Amorim have for not giving Mainoo any minutes? Like, what is going on? Amorim stated that Kobbie and Bruno are competing for that one midfield spot. And he even sort of used Bruno as a bit of a focal point, saying that, I need a holding midfielder next to Bruno. Like, I need someone to complement Bruno to get the best out of Bruno. Bruno's got to play, but he needs this around him. Like, it's really strange. Clearly, Bruno is the guy, right? But if Bruno's not getting it done, why not be bold and give Kobbie some minutes? Why not change things up? Why not say, okay, Bruno's long balls, that clearly that's the whole plan for him, is not working. Let's shift it up and stop doing that. Let's get someone who can take the ball from defense, beat that initial press, drive the ball 10 yards up the pitch, find Cunha, find Mbumo, find Shesko, whoever, and offer something different. Keep the ball on the ground, keep it away instead of just hoofing it all the time. I don't get it. During preseason, Amorim also commented that he needed Kobbie to work on his rhythm and his pace. So again, we've said that for a little while too, that Kobbie needed, because he's still young and he's still physically developing, he's got to bulk up. He's got to get a little faster. He's got to get a little stronger on the ball. Not playing him, though, is steadily becoming a stick that Amorim's critics are using to hit him. Like, it's not helping his case when it comes to naysayers, not playing the academy grad when the player that a lot of people don't even like right now, Bruno, is not having a good start to the season. I think it could send a positive message if maybe Amorim were to take off Bruno or even benched him at some point, maybe on Wednesday, and trusted Mainoo. I doubt we'll see that, though. I really do. What are you guys saying in the chat here? Box says, some United fans, media are very dramatic. They live for the soap opera style. No, that's what the media does. And the fans, I mean, The only thing I look for on social media is just it's a good aggregator for news and rumors. I scroll right past the fans who use the MUFC hashtag because it is what it is. We know what you're going to get on social media. Rob says Mainoo and the players lacking minutes should start against Grimsby. Poor place, but a decent 9K ground. Yeah, and we threw out some stats. They're actually doing really, really well right now in League Two. Exactly the kind of banana skin that I wouldn't put it past us to slip on, if I'm being honest. But Rob, yeah, let me know who you'd like to see start against Grimsby, because I pretty much just said burn it down. Let's start a whole different 11 of everybody. I'm starting Leon. I'm starting Shesko. I'm giving Fredrickson, Kokonki. I'm giving all these guys starts, dude. Fuck it. Heaven. Fuck it. Throw Tom Heaton on there. I don't even care. Box says Amorim doesn't need to reveal so much. Yeah, I've never said that. Like, I'll never be one of those. Like, I guess you can call them content. I don't consider myself a content creator necessarily, and I don't mean that as a judgment to other content creators. To me, the difference is people who do this like more on a full time basis. Someone like Rich, for instance, for Red Devils United, who's putting out like 3 or 4 videos a day. I don't do that. That to me is content creator kind of stuff, which is not bad. It's just a difference. But I think that there are some that I've seen in the past who, for some reason, just demand that managers come out and say this, demand that Ineos make a statement. Like, when has that ever happened? When is a manager going to come out and give like full on behind the scenes secrets of his tactics and his player selection? Like, when is an owner going to come out and just reveal all their plans and stuff and what they're like? No one does that. We're not even allowed to say certain things from an ownership standpoint because of the way we're traded on the stock exchange. You're not allowed to do that kind of stuff to a certain extent. So, and nobody ever does that. And that's what I've said. Like, what owner comes out and does? Nobody does. So I never got that, but it is what it is. So I hear you. I mean, Amorim doesn't even like giving the interviews. He's complained so many times about how many interviews. Now he's got to give 2 press conferences. If you look at the United website, there's literally 2 separate pressers that they're posting articles about. Like, give the dude some time, dude. Come on. Now on Mainoo, Andy Mitten thinks that it could be more possible that he might leave, only if maybe get a good offer. So he said, Cobby, from the people I've spoken to, I would be surprised if you went. But I think if you got a big offer for him now, Manchester United would absolutely consider selling him. So Andy Mitten thinks that United would consider selling him if they got a big offer. I think it's interesting to think about that. I don't know what you guys would do with Cobby. Do you think he should be getting more minutes? Do you think he should be starting? Do you think there's something going on behind the scenes? Do you think it's contract related? Would you sell him? Some people maybe just don't think he's good enough. Some people think that he got too much hype last season and he's not actually that good. I think we were all just very excited. We got a young academy, a youngster coming through who looks good. I think we like that at United, obviously. But to be honest, like I've said a couple times though, like kind of like the 2 wide center backs in this back 3 system, Amorim's midfield is so player specific, again, that we literally need a minimum 2 new midfielders, and we need to get rid of a couple of them too. I just don't think we have anyone in midfield that can cut it. I've said that a couple times. I've gone through all 4 of them. It's not Bruno's position. Casemiro's legs are gone. Ugarte is a little too, we'll call it, overzealous, and his ball progression is not good enough. And Mainoo's too young, not in age, but just in development as a footballer yet. So then why did we appoint Amorim with the system he plays when we had those midfielders? Again, what was the mentality there at the club? Like, yeah, these midfielders can hang in that system. Like, they can't. They literally can't. I think a combination of Baleba and someone like Hackney or Stiller would be perfect. I think that would be an excellent midfield duo. They complement each other. They're physical. They've all got ball progression as well. But when it comes down to a manager, like does a manager need to get more from what he has? Should Amorim be getting more from the likes of Casemiro, Ugarte, Mainoo, and Bruno in that midfield? Can anybody get better than that? Would any other manager get more from those 4 players in that situation? Why do guys like Andoni Iraola or Nuno or Glasner do well with players who, on paper, no disrespect, not as good as some of these guys? Like, why is that the case for these guys, but not the case for us? Like, why do these guys rock up against us and beat us consistently? Is it recruitment? I don't know. Pep can't do it without the best players, and he gets brand new players every year, Pep. He gets to just rotate wingers, defenders, wingbacks, keepers, whatever. Every couple of years, he's getting a whole new batch of play. He got 8 players in the last 6 months, Pep. Like, why do guys like Pep need the best players and they do well? But then you got guys like Iriola, Nuno, and Glasner, who don't have as good players, or they don't get as many players, and they're doing just fine as well, all things considered. But for some reason at United, it's just nothing seems to work. We buy players, doesn't work. We don't buy players, and we don't seem to get the best out of the players we have. Like, what is going on, man? Is it something in the water? Like someone said earlier, it's messed up, dude. Let's see. Oh, Danny's back. Big up, man. Got that phone charger going, bro. Box says, I think Ineos would be open to selling anyone at the right price. And I think that any club should probably have that in mind. And that's why I don't have any problem with Newcastle not selling Isak. They're under no obligation to do anything. Like if Isak wants to point to a handshake agreement, like, I'm sorry, but get it in writing next time. That was your agent and your lawyers and whoever you have around you not advising you in your best interest if they just relied on some handshake agreement. Newcastle, you're under contract. They don't have to sell you for anything less than what they deem your value to be. So you can put all the little statements you want to. Is like it's just someone's going to blink at some point. We'll see what happens. Hatter says Mainoo is a good rotational player. Yeah, and that's what he should be. And that's why I said if Mainoo is frustrated that he's not getting minutes, then that's to me more of an issue for Mainoo than anybody else, personally. But again, all things being equal, that's the caveat, because the way the other midfielders we have are playing right now, not playing Mainoo is looking less and less like a wise decision, looking more and more like some weird situation going on behind the scenes. Bexy says, I'd be surprised if United break the bank for a midfielder this week. I don't think we have to break the bank necessarily unless we get someone like Wharton or Baleba, because there are midfielders out there. I've got 5 that I might do a video. I just literally spent today putting together. I've got 5 that I could do a video on. Again, it's not anybody that we haven't spoken about. Some of them are players we haven't done scouting reports on, but it's a video I never thought I was going to have to make that I might end up doing anyway. You guys let me know. Do you want to see a scouting report on 5 midfielders that could replace Bruno Fernandes at Manchester United if it comes down to it? You guys let me know what you think about that, because we can go through it. Again, it's not going to be anybody we haven't spoken about, but these are the players that I think could come in and do a job. But let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing. Box says, don't worry. Next summer we'll have Baleba, Lamine Kamara, Stiller, and Wharton as the 4 center midfield options. Nice. Rob wants to know, is Camavinga at no chance? I doubt it. I'm not really super convinced on Camavinga, to be honest with you. Every time I've watched him play for Real Madrid, I just never been convinced. He makes a lot of really bad passes. He gives the ball away a lot. I don't like the way he passes the ball either. He looks so one-footed when he passes. So he's got someone on his left in like 10, 15-yard pass, and he'll always play it with his right. But it ends up curling away, and the player's got to drop back 5 yards to collect the ball, rather than just cushioning that with his left. Like stuff like that, I've seen Camavinga do quite a bit. Now, it was harsh the way they had him playing all these weird positions, but that was he was picked up during Real Madrid just being weird and buying like Tchouaméni, Camavinga. Like, you didn't need all that, because they still ended up buying Bellingham as well. Like, Madrid just make really weird decisions in the transfer window, man. It really is. Rob says Pep has 115 choices. We'll see. Justin is still livid that nothing's happened with that. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Has anybody seen any news about these charges? Because I haven't seen anything. Justin's pissed. I've said many times, I don't care what happens to City. I just want all their trophies to be taken. I don't need bans. I don't need relegations. I don't need fines. Take away all their trophies, and I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I don't really need to see anything else. Yeah, Hackney and Agume. Yeah, we talked about Agume recently. Box says Newcastle worked so hard and outplayed Liverpool with 10 men. Yeah, because they've got fighters in that side. Tonali is class. I think Guimaraes is very, very good. Joe Linton, moving him to midfield was a masterstroke, it turned out to be. Elanga suits that system. They really need to. I think they can improve on Schär. I think they can improve on Trippier, obviously. Anthony Gordon, I just think Anthony Gordon's. If Anthony Gordon wasn't English, I don't think anybody would really care that much. The guy is a diver, and he got sent off today, but they need a striker for sure, and they need to improve a little bit at right back, and I think they could use one good center back, and then I think they'll be good. Danny says Pogba cursed the club. Uh-oh. Oh, boy, you guys are funny. Matt Hatter says, yes to the scouting report. You do the legwork for my EAFC transfers. Honestly, they're not going to... This scouting report for the Bruno thing is not going to be like, oh, these are some hidden gems from, like, Denmark. That's not this one. This one is the obvious players who we've spoken about many times, but they, in my opinion, are the Bruno Fernandes replacements. If that's what it comes down to, they're ball progressors. They're more physical than Bruno, more defensive minded than Bruno. They actually play that role. That's what I mean. The natural thing. So, but I'm glad that that's a vote for one person says yes. Bexley says, I think they may buy Wharton, though. Ineos need results, get United back ASAP. But in my opinion, Amorim's had enough transfers already to do better this season. So he's had, what, 3? And one of them, Shesko, got in like right before the season started. So he really wasn't going to be ready. So technically 2. And one of those took a month and a half almost to get over the line. So he's got 2. And then Dorgu. Now, Dorgu was, remember, we were targeting Dorgu long before we were looking at Amorim. And so Dorgu was, I'm not saying Amorim's off the hook for Dorgu. I'm saying it's less and less about Amorim. These are players that Amorim wants, and more about these are players the club thinks are going to suit the way we want to play. And Dorgu was part of that. So he's technically, you could say technically 4. Shesko, I think, which I don't necessarily count yet that. So, but I hear you. He's got players. He needs to do better. There's no reason that Cunha and Mbeumo shouldn't be doing better than they're doing. Cunha and Mbeumo, they've had moments, but all their best moments have come from outside of the box, basically. The run that Cunha won against Arsenal and stuff, and some of the shit he was doing yesterday, like he just they need to do better in that final ball. Rob says, yeah, 2 weeks ago the Premier League boss was asked and he said he couldn't say anything. About the charges. Interesting. Yeah, Box, because Virgil van Dijk is in that back line. If you guys watching the day again, he was struggling, man. Rob says, same here, I'm scouting a few Sean's young CBs. Nice. Anybody pre-order FC 26 yet? I think did I pre-ordered it because I don't have FC 25 anymore. I took it back and did a pre-order for that. So we'll see. I'm ready to be disappointed again. I don't know why I did that, but it's what it is. Rob says, Barada said they're looking at some players not linked. I assume they've already done the groundwork to jump in now. You know that we've got players that we're looking at. It's just a matter of making sure that, to me, it seems like the pattern this summer has been making sure the players are on board, right? So we will be talking about that a lot, though, because so next Wednesday, not this week, next Wednesday, Dylan and I are going to be doing the rating the transfer window. So we're going to be looking at these transfers, and then we're going to be giving our predictions for the season. So make sure you come by for that video. It's going to be a little different kickabout next week. So that's the 3rd, Wednesday the 3rd, 6 p.m. Be there or be square, as the kids say. Bach says, it's the pressure. I think it's crazy difference to Brentford. Yeah, it is. I mean, if you're talking about like players or if you're talking about managers, because it is different at Brentford and at Wolves. There's less pressure, but at the same time, you've still got to get results with players that necessarily maybe on paper aren't just not as good. So you've got to figure out ways. Maybe it forces you to be a little bit more creative. Maybe it forces you to be a little bit more pragmatic, and that's just the way you do. Maybe it's just survival instinct at that point. I couldn't tell you. Don't want to be a football manager. That's what I can say for sure. But as far as Amorim goes and all this, should he get more from this player's system and stuff? Like, I don't want him. Like, I get to an extent, like, sticking with the system, even despite the fact that maybe you don't have the players for it. But I don't want to see him go the Russell Mountain route, right? Where you remember Russell Mountain of Southampton, like the guy tried to play out from the back week in, week out, and week in, week out. It basically cost them a goal because they did not have the players for it. And the guy got sacked. Stubbornly adhering to the system, not having the players for it, that can be a problem. But then, again, this is why I say it's more questions than answers. Where's that line then? Because I think it looks different for fans. When everything's going right, we're like, cool. When everything's going wrong, we're like, no, do this, do that. Where's the line between persevering with the system or going with a system that suits your players to get by maybe while you rebuild? Again, Ten Hag got pelters for abandoning his principles. Now everybody wants Amorim to abandon his principles. Like, everybody wants it both ways. Are we past that point now with Amorim where we can't worry about changing the system because we're getting players? And I'm like, I think that, again, it's just more questions than answers, dude. I think for me, the most damning thing for Amorim is I haven't seen a whole lot, aside from Bruno, I haven't seen fans criticizing the players as much anymore. Now most of the fans are criticizing Amorim. At least that's what I've seen. I'm not saying they're right. It's interesting what I've seen. It doesn't bode well. Is he out of his depth? Is he stubborn? Is he kind of paralyzed like we saw sometimes with some managers, like even Ten Hag sometimes, where it was just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's going wrong. And like, he just wasn't doing anything, like analysis paralysis or something. Or is Amorim just not as good enough for this level? Is Portuguese league, or maybe like somebody in La Liga, is that his level? I don't know. He needs to figure it out though, because Ineos won't hesitate to swing the axe, right? And remember, we spoke with Xavi. We spoke with a lot of managers. Xavi's still out there, and Ineos spoke with Xavi last spring. He plays a system that I think is better suited to the players that we have, this 4-3-3 system. I'm not saying I want to sack Amorim and bring in Xavi. I'm saying Amorim's got to figure it out, because there are other managers out there who we've spoken to who aren't employed right now, and Ineos have already shown they will not hesitate to make those kind of big decisions really quick if they don't think things are going well. So the pressure's on Amorim. Fox says, on a side note, it was laughable seeing the in-depth VAR reviews on the Pen and the Eurogo. Radio silence last week. Yeah, God forbid they show a little subject or objectivity when it comes to United calls, right? All right, that's nothing new for us, right? I need to get water. Water. Bexy says, I just hope United respond. If not, the heat will be intense. Last season was embarrassing. It can't happen again. Yeah, at what point, though, like, do they make the decision? At what point does that become a little too late? Like, I think that if we're in 15th by December, that obviously he's got to go. But then I wonder, like, if that is that too big a hole to climb out of? Like, Amorim didn't even get a new manager bounce. We gave all that to Rude. What other managers are out there? Like, I don't like having this conversation, but again, literally the only one I can think of is Xavi, because we already spoke to him. Everybody else is at a club, basically. And so I don't get it. I just don't, man. Rob says, Amorim made subs quite early in the second half, but kept Bruno on. Yeah, I definitely would have taken Bruno off. Like I said, either you bring on Mainoo or you bring it in instead of Bruno, or I would have maybe even brought Šeško on, took Bruno off, and dropped Mount to a deeper role. If you're not going to play Mainoo, it is what it is at this point. So let me get caught up here on this chat. Xavi United would be interesting, says Matt Header. Yeah, I mean, he plays a 4-3-3. We haven't seen really a 4-3-3 in England. I mean, at least at United for a while. I do think a three-man midfield suits. I mean, Bruno suits maybe even Ugarte. Casemiro suits Mainoo a little better. But again, I don't like having that chat because we're not there yet. We'll see. Big up, Kai. Good to see you. Sell Bruno and get a center midfielder. It's not rocket science. I don't understand the crazy love for Bruno. So far, nobody's had crazy love for Bruno. I'm just pointing out all the different perspectives and letting you guys kind of come to your own conclusion. Again, I've said many times, I'm happy if Bruno stays and plays well. I'm also happy to take $100 million for him. It doesn't matter to me either way. I just care about the club. So, welcome, Kai. Bexy says, United must have competence to know if a manager is good enough. Barada and Wilson seem competent. Well, Wilcox, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm sure Amorim knows, like, listen, this isn't last year where you came in mid-season, shit was topsy-turvy, and everything was just tits up. And they're like, all right, as long as we don't get relegated, we're fine. He probably bought himself a little grace getting to Europa League final. But again, I think his team selection was a big part in why we lost that final. But it is what it is. Can't be held responsible for the fact that our keepers are shit. He didn't bring those keepers in. Ineos didn't even bring those keepers in. It is what it is. Now, I think that his team selection is probably the biggest issue for me. But we spoke about that a couple times. Bexy says 10-game measuring stick, in my opinion, EPL games. So 10 games into it, so far we've got 1 point from two games. Where are we at in the table right now? Anyway, I didn't even look. Fucking Liverpool, dude. I freaking knew they were going to do that bullshit. We are in 16th, so hey, look at that. -1 goal difference. You gotta love it. Dude, Villa, what are you doing, Villa? Brighton, Wolves, West. Damn. That's messed up, dude. Yikes. Box says, just looked at the bookies. Glasner, 4-1 fave. Yeah, I doubt that's gonna happen. Like I said, if for some reason we sacked him, you've got Xavi out there. I'd probably put in Iriola. He's probably in with a good shout with what he did with Bournemouth last season. But other than that, I can't really think of anybody else realistically out there who's available. Maybe Nagelsmann, if you can convince him, but that you wouldn't get that till after the World Cup anyway. So what are you going to do? Players do not last forever. They don't. Father Time is undefeated, as they say. Yeah, Box. I don't think Bruno's finished. I just, again, like we spoke about, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't think it has anything to do with him not being a 6 or him being a rat. I don't know. I think his head's just not fully here right now. He's making weird mistakes, and it's not happy with that. So Rob says we have tough fixtures. Yeah, we do pretty much statistically have like the most difficult start to the season. I think I saw someone say during that Arsenal match. So of course, it is what it is, but it is always going to be a test. Amorim's he's got to get some points from some of these hard matches against the Big Six, or otherwise it puts us in a really hard position. I think we can't afford to drop all these points. We have to try to get something. He's got to make a statement with like something against Liverpool or City. He's already beat City once. We got a draw against Liverpool last season. He's got to do something. Box says buying 31-year-old Casemiro for 75 million at 350k. Yeah, it's definitely and I'm sure Sir Jim he's not hid away his feelings about that, so it is what it is. Matt Hatter says this may sound odd, but Arsenal riles me up more than Liverpool. Arsenal don't rile me up. Their fans rile me up. I just don't get I just don't get that at all. I don't get what's going on with them. Why is the chat disconnected? That's weird. You guys having issues with the chat? Somebody let me know. I'm just seeing a bunch of stuff in my my live chat over here that says the chat is disconnected. Is that a YouTube thing? Is YouTube having issues? All right, looks like it's good now. Let me see. Let me see here. Yeah, YouTube has been weird, but yeah, Arsenal, their fans are really what get on my nerves because they've got literally no right to banter or do anybody. Literally, the most impressive thing that Arteta's done during his whole process has been knocking Real Madrid out of the Champions League. He hasn't done anything else. We've got more trophies than them in our worst era than they do in their best. It doesn't make sense, dude. Whatever. It is what it is. Rob says beat Chelsea and Jim will be happy. I mean, if we beat him at Stamford Bridge, he can use his private suite, right? Doesn't he have one at Stamford Bridge? But I joke. Let's move on to some transfer talk real quick, you guys. Make sure you're liking that video. Make sure you subscribe, you guys. Some transfer talk. Not a ton of transfer talk. Mostly just Højlund. But am I the only one who apparently did not know that Piero Hincapié has a 60 million euro release clause? 60 million euro release clause for Piero Hincapié. That's insane. I saw him linked today with Arsenal, with Spurs. 60 million release clause for just, dude, get him and figure out what to do with Licha later. Like, Piero Hincapié is an absolute class defender. He was one of my options. You guys remember when I did that Licha replacement video last spring? He was one of my options. He was a pipe dream at the time, but he's an absolute class defender. 60 million euro release clause is fucking insane. Go get it done, dude, for real. Let's talk about this one little transfer because there hasn't been a lot to talk about today. But apparently, so Fabrizio Romano reposted his whole Napoli are close to an agreement regarding Højlund tweet. So typically when Fabrizio reposts an earlier tweet, that means something is moving along. But then he posted this afternoon. Negotiations between Napoli and Man United are at the final stages on a loan deal with a buy option clause to become mandatory. Talks underway with Højlund and his camp over personal terms again today, with Napoli and Conte pushing to get it done. Now remember, Lukaku picked up an injury, going to be gone for a while. Napoli are scrambling to get a striker. Højlund clearly not in the matchday squad even. It's not like Kavi, who's at least on the bench. Højlund's not even been in the squad, and so the writing's pretty much on the wall. Then we got reports going into the weekend that Højlund was open to the move, but anybody interested in bringing him needed to have an obligation or needed because he didn't want to be in the same situation in a year, basically, is what all the talk was. And it sounds like United are trying to at least get him out and get their money's worth. So a lot of rumors, like 5 million loan fee with a 35 million option, which brings it to 40, which would probably just make us break even, which it is what it is. Not all transfers work out. But what are you guys' thoughts on Højlund leaving? I know, do I even have to ask? I think you guys are pretty much all at this point done with him. Bexy says, Yora looked like he'd become world class. A few tweaks in his team, we'd start to cook. Yeah, the only thing, and I said this to Dylan and Justin, I never worry with Yoro. The only mistakes I ever see Yoro make are the kind of things that I would expect any teenager to make, like just stuff that only comes with experience. That's it. I don't have a problem with Yoro at all. he's looking like a bargain the more and more he plays. He's literally been one of our best defenders. So yeah, he's class. Rob says maybe Chelsea keep lowballing us on Garnacho because Jim is a pain at their members club. He ate all the biscuits last week. No, we're dropping it down to 30 mil. I don't want to give him. He still owes me. I bought him a bottle of water and he didn't pay me back, the bastard. Oh boy. Um, Matt Hatter says, I wish him back luck at Napoli. Yeah, we don't ever, want bad things for the players, unless they're Di Maria. Fuck that guy. But McTominay is doing well, and we can be happy to see that. It's good to see him really just thriving. I mean, it's a shame that I think that maybe in this system, McTominay could have been better than in Ten Hag's system. And that's just, again, this is why I said it's all about system. And we did that video a few months back on, were we wrong to sell McTominay? You guys can go watch that and get a good breakdown of the differences there. I go through heat maps, percentiles, systems, everything. So, but it's interesting, right? Box says we have nearly ruined Hoyland. Yeah, I definitely think we played a role in Hoyland's kind of struggles. He's not completely innocent, right? He's not sitting here with impunity from any sort of accountability here, but it is what it is. It seemed like he was doing fine under Ten Hag and maybe even under Ruud a little bit, and then it just didn't work out. So he's definitely a Vardy type. He's not a sit and hold the ball up tactical type, but it's a little too late now. So Rob says Napoli is the wrong place. McTominay will steal his goals again. Yeah, like I said last week, this is a lot of drama and a lot of stubbornness, only for him to go to Napoli and still get outscored by McTominay. So we'll see what happens. But maybe McTominay could be the guy who teaches him how to score. I mean, we always said Hoyland needed an experienced goal scorer to kind of help him and learn. Maybe McTominay can be that for him in Napoli. So. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for rumors. There hasn't been a whole lot of transfer talk today, which is odd to me. Usually the Monday and the Sunday are usually pretty big news. So, but not a whole lot of talk today. Like I said, today was less transfer talk, more let's talk about Bruno, let's talk about Amorim, let's talk about Mainoo, because there's a lot to unpack there. And I really wanted to make sure I got your guys' opinions. I didn't really check in with you guys yesterday. We checked in a couple times, Dylan and Justin and I, but after I wanted to be a good host with them yesterday. So we hung out for a few hours and just chatted for a while. So I wanted to make sure we hung out with those guys. Haven't seen them in person in a while, so it's always nice to do that. So, but you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments if you weren't able to catch the live. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check those memberships as well. Don't forget about that. Rob says, Sean, do you think Šeško is the striker that Amorim wants? Well, he had nothing but praise for him so far. He really, really likes his work ethic, which seems to be something that Amorim values. So he's had nothing but praise. I couldn't tell you what Amorim wants, to be honest with you. I don't have that kind of information. We'll see. I think that he possesses the traits that we saw from maybe Gyökeres at times. He's quick. He knows how to make these good runs. We've seen it already, kind of running into the channels, holding up play a little bit, getting others involved. So I think that he does have the opportunity and the capability of suiting the system. But again, I'm not saying Šeško is bad. I never thought he was as good as a lot of people thought. And I was just strictly going by some of the numbers and some of the things I've seen. Like, some people only watch compilations, which is only going to show you the good things. And then you have to watch everything. Like, I watched videos of his last 20 shots or something before the season ends, and there was some howlers in there. So we'll see what happens. You're always going to back the players that we sign. You're always going to want them to do well. You're always going to celebrate when they do well. But we'll see. I think he should be starting. I think he should start on Wednesday. So again, you guys weren't able to catch the live, get your starting 11 predictions in, who you'd want to see start. I just said burn it down, start a whole new 11 and go from there. But I doubt that will happen. So, but thank you guys for coming and checking out the video today. Thank you guys for getting involved. A little different than the normal transfer news roundup, but I like to get everybody's thoughts on the heady stuff, right? The more serious stuff. So until next time, you guys, take it easy. That was also your Grimsby preview. It's Grimsby. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I mean, it is what it is. You can rewind if you want to learn a little bit about that. But until next time, take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.